Hello everyone. Hi, this is this is Yavla Khan here. I'm all right. All right. Hello everyone. This is Yavla Khan here. I'm a software developer architect. I'm working with Microsoft at the moment as a PFE, a Premier Field Engineer. Uh, uh, I'm a .NET developer. All right. Hello everyone. This is Yavla Khan here. I'm a software developer architect. I'm currently working with Microsoft in India in the modern apps team as a PFE. A PFE is a Premier Field Engineer. I'm available on LinkedIn at the link shown on the screen. I also have a website which is still in development and I'm working on it. Uh, so to bring you guys up to speed as to what we were doing with this application, we were working on a code refactoring assignment. We identified a piece of code called Contoso University from MSDN, from the Microsoft documentation. I'm still used to calling it MSDN. It is Microsoft Docs. Um, it talks about the entity framework 6 and it shows how to do code first approach. I have shown that to you in my previous videos. And then the application is an ASP.NET MVC application, which is simulating the behavior of a university. It shows the students, the enrollment, the courses. I'm going to quickly walk you through that particular screen, that particular code in a very short span. Um, so what we have seen so far is that we have this application. Let me try to right click and build this application so that the packages that are giving errors here are going to get downloaded. Once we have those packages, this application is going to build and compile fine, hopefully. And then this application says that type or namespace MVC does not exist in the current context. Let's see what we have inside the references. Looks like some packages are still missing. Now I'm going to right click on this application, select references. Alright, let's right click on references, select manage muted packages, and then see if there's a way we can restore it. So there are updates available to at least 13 packages. I'm pretty sure that if I install and update to all these, the application is going to go through fine. I'm just going to hit OK. For now, I'm going to accept all of the terms and conditions. And then once those are accepted, I believe that these missing references are going to get resolved. Alright, so with these references getting resolved successfully, most of the packages are also getting updated, as you can see. It's already exists, so you want to override it. Yeah, go ahead. Right. I'm going to close out of the NuGet repository. I think that should be fine now. Now when I right click on the application and select build, the application build appears to have failed again. Let's see, one failed. The Contours University configuration is still failing. Let's see in the error list what we have. The build just failed. What is it not liking? Come on, Visual Studio, you have to tell me more, definitely. Let's see what we have in the properties window. Inside the applications tab, let me see if bumping up the .NET Framework to 4.7.2 fixes anything. System this. The project Contours University requires SQL Server Express Local DB, which is not installed on this computer. Alright, I do not have local DB, which is fine. I can just come here in the web.config, look for the error statement, and then just mention SQL Express. I have SQL Server Express Edition installed here. I am connected to the database. So I'm going to come, minimize this, and try to build the application one more time. Alright, so the build has failed, and it is not very friendly error message. Did I see build succeeded? 0 succeeded, 1 failed. I'm going to clean up the solution. And the clean solution also failed. Interesting. Let's see what this notification has. Another update to live share. Alright, I don't want that update right now. I'm going to close out this. Go back to the Solution Explorer. Right click. Clean solution. Clean has failed. Let me go ahead and close this application. Let me go ahead and close out our Visual Studio as well. And I see this. I want this. This is done, and let me relaunch Visual Studio one more time. It is this Contours University application. You type code. I'm hoping that the application is going to build fine. We are pointing to .SQL Express. I'm going to try to build it one more time. Alright, so the build has succeeded. I'm going to hit IIS Express. It's going to launch Microsoft Edge. Then I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup. Alright, so as you can see, the Contoso University application has launched correctly. I was hoping to see a navigation bar, which I'm not seeing here right now. I'm just going to copy this URL, fire up Chrome, and see if it opens up fine inside this one. Right. So something is wrong. I'm not sure what. It's out. I'm going to close out. I'm going to close the solution, terminate Visual Studio, and alright, so I had the source code downloaded inside the downloads folder. I'm going to come and open up the solution, and we'll try to open this up from the source location itself. Or what I can do is I can cut this folder out, go to C drive, and then try to paste it here. I'm going to launch this application one more time using Visual Studio 2019 from my browser. I am assuming that this is the fresh copy of the application and it does not have any of the code modifications. I think this is one of my objectives before I start working on any application, before I start refactoring an application, that I get an application to a running state. There's no point in fixing an application or refactoring an application that doesn't work. Alright, so I think this is going to fail for the Contoso DB because I did not update the. Alright, so this is good. I'm going to go to the About controller where we see enrollment information of students, but because we did not fix the connection string dweb.config, I think it's going to fail for database does not exist or something similar or some similar error. Let's see what we have. Alright, so the About page did not show any error. This is possibly because, and even the request didn't go through fine. There's going to be a similar behavior if I go to the student controller, which I am hitting, but then it is not launching at the moment. This is definitely because of the connection string error. So let me go ahead to the Solution Explorer, and I change this for .config to point to the database. Alright, so I have a SQL Express with a double S. I'm going to save this. I also know that the initial catalog for this thing is Contoso University 2. So let's go to the database and then let's see if we have that database here. This is available from my previous run of the application. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to get rid of this real quick. Hopefully, Visual Studio is going to let me delete this. Alright, so we are starting clean slate here. We Contoso University app. I'm going to hit IIS Express Microsoft Edge one more time. See what we have in the About page. I'm going to close this. Probably this is a good point where I dock the Solution Explorer, the Home controller, the About action. This is what we are trying to browse, the Home About page. It has a SQL query, and in the SQL query is connecting to database SQL Express, and then it is returning an enrollment date group, which is a list, and then this list is being sent to the data. What we are hoping to see here on this page is enrollment of student data. Right, so the enrollment data and students, probably there is a count column here which is going to come, but then it's not coming at the moment. It's fairly obvious because if I refresh now and go to the Contoso University database, hoping to see this particular database created. Once it is not there, let's go to the console here, and then inside console, let's run the update -database command. Yes, I want to stop debugging. And go to the console window again. Just running the feed method. I'm hoping that now we will see our database. Let's connect to a different database engine, different database provider, which is dev02. And if I look in the databases section, show you the person table from where the data is coming, you are going to notice that it has record for a total of 13 records. 5 of them appear to be instructors and 8 of them are students. Because the about page is showing information about student and we did not have the seed data when we ran this page, the application did not go through fine. And we have also stopped debugging because the page is not get refreshed correctly. I'm going to go to Visual Studio one more time and then switch to another browser. Web browser, Google Chrome. And then now, if we launch the application, you will notice that the About screen is displaying the student information. There are a total of 8 students, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They are enrolled on different dates. This is a group by query that we saw in the About Home action. All right. So we are good here. When I look at this code, there are multiple things that comes to my mind. One is, why do we have this comment statement here, right? It's saying that commenting out link you to show how to do the same thing in SQL. Alright, but then I am not a big fan of SQL queries or link queries inside my application. The reason is that this code requires a lot of duplication. So if for any reason you require the enrollment information on different pages, you will have to repeat the same query or the SQL. The answer to this problem lies in a design pattern, an enterprise architecture design pattern, which is called the repository pattern. This work should actually be taken care of using a repository. For some reason, this was not done when this application was initially incepted or written, which is fine. One of the advantages that software gives you is that you can ship an application which just does the job. All right, it need not be correct. It need not be. It not have the right architecture, but then you should always take a moment to stop by and then refactor the application code so that the code starts to get prettier and better. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take you back to the PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to show you what exactly I meant. So on this slide, on the solid principle, one of the things about the about action is that it is violating multiple design principles. The first principle that it is violating is a single responsibility principle. When I look at an action method, I don't want to see that the action itself knows too much about extracting the value from the domain. That responsibility should be delegated to the model classes, and that's what the MVC pattern is: model, view, and controller. The controller is only a mediator between the model and the view. The model itself is responsible for connecting to a persistence layer and extracting the data out of it. And then the action method is going to get that data from the model, it's going to massage that data, and then it is going to make it available, map it in a format that the view can use. When we look at the about action code, it is not doing any of that. It is taking the model that is coming exactly from the database and it is passing it on to to the data. That is not entirely true, actually. Now that I am thinking about the code, I think that this particular class is coming from something called a view model, but then still, that is a responsibility of another design pattern, now which is called the data mapper, and then the about action should definitely not be doing that. All right, so we are going to fix a lot of these things. We will require a thorough understanding of the design patterns, the solid principles. Uh, so, all right. So the next principle should be the open and close principle. We see that the about action is very tightly coupled to the entity framework and to the database. If we have to switch to another implementation of the database itself, we will have a very hard time making that code change. Uh, this is because we are violating the open source principle. We should be in a position uh, where just by changing configurations, we should be allowed to switch to any implementation of any of the frameworks. Um, Very soon we're gonna dive into the code and we're gonna see how we can achieve that. Let's call substitution not as much. We don't have to worry about that for now. Um, but then if you're writing more sophisticated code, that principle is going to come in picture. The next one is inversion of control. Uh, we see that the DbContext object that is created inside the constructor or inside the class, uh, it is coded against concretion. It is not coded against the abstract classes. Uh, so what we should really be doing is um, everything that the class is going to use should be injected inside the constructor uh, through an abstract programming construct like an interface or an abstract class. It should definitely not be coming through concrete implementation classes. And we're going to change that real quick. The last bullet is dependency inversion principle. We are going to use the Unity containers DI framework, and we are going to have that um, uh, wire up all of these concrete dependencies, these concrete implementations, and then have those replaced and have those do the functionality inside the application code. All right. But then before we start jumping into code and modifying it right away, we should really be writing some test cases. Um, so I have 3 bullets on the screen, which are talking about the test-driven development. Um, Test-driven development is really focused on writing test cases before you start writing the actual production code. The theory is that test cases are going to become the consumer of the production code that you are writing, and then if you get to a point where you have to modify an application, these test cases, they are going to start failing, and in these failing test cases are going to be the sign that there was a functionality which was written right, which was working fine according to these test cases, and then our recent code changes have modified that. So we are going to start with a test case where we are not going to touch anything until we have a passing test case. So let's quickly jump to Visual Studio, and then let's write our first test case for the about action. What we require for that is the name of the project. I am going to come and I'm going to have to stop the editing. Hit to copy the name, copy, and then add a new test project. So I'm going to come and select new test project. I'm going to write test here. Oops, that went too fast. I'm going to type test here, and then I am going to have to select unit test project .NET framework. Once I do that, I'm going to have to enter the name. I'm going to call it test, and I'm going to hit create button. All right. I know that I am going to test the home controller about action. So I'm going to call it home controller test. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to rename test file. All right. Now, if you remember, we were getting like 4 rows when we executed the about action. So that's what we're going to write. About action presents 5 students enrollment records. All right. Generally, in a test case, there are 3 things that we have to perform. First is that we arrange all of the dependencies, everything that we require for running the test case. The second is that we act on those things, and then the third is that we assert that we are getting the data that we were expecting. So as a part of arrangement, we require expected number of students. We know that we're expecting 5. We know that the controller is the home controller. So I'm going to create an object of the home controller, and then this object is supposed to come from another project, which is this controller library. All right, so I'm going to add a reference to controller university, and I'm going to close out of this one. The home controller is going to call the about action, and then it's going to return a view result. All right. So I am going to have to call the controller action, which is about, and I am going to typecast it to the view result type. All right. Undo result. And if I control dot, notice the yellow light recorded, and then it is saying that I have to add a reference to system.web.mvc. So let's go ahead and do that. And this should have been coming from a muted package. Looks like I will have to go to the references and install system.web.mvc. So let me go ahead and select Microsoft ASP.NET MVC, and I'm going to make sure that I select version 5.2.2 because that's what we have inside our Controls University project as well. I'm going to hit install, and I'm going to have to hit OK here, and I will have to accept the terms. So with those selected, this thing is still complaining. I am pretty positive that now it should be able to resolve using system.web.mvc. Once we have the view result, we can typecast it to the data model. But then we know that our data model is enrollment group list. So let's just call it that. View result dot model dot as. So I'm going to show you a little trick that I use to identify the typecast. Here, I'm going to go to home controller, the about action, and then this is what my model is. So I'm going to have to copy this, copy this, close out, the test case, I'm going to paste it here. And it does not have reference for enumerable. Simplify the name, enumerable is available inside system.collection.generic. And then once I have that, the enrollment list is going to appear here. We also require a variable called the actual number of students. This is 0 for now. I'm just going to move things around a little bit, and inside the assert, I am going to compare the actual Fluent count with this thing. But then I'm a very big fan of the Fluent API. So I'm going to add another native package here, and it is called the Fluent validation build. The last time I checked, it had around 25 million downloads. Probably a single word. And if I hit enter now, it's not Fluent validation, it is, okay, it is 16 million and Fluent validation. So I'm going to install that. I'm going to hit OK. So with this added, now I can go back for a using statement using Fluent validation. If I have that, I'm going to do an assert here, and I'm going to say actual students dot should be expected number of students. So with this, let's try to set the enrollment group list dot to list, and then once it is converted to list, we get the count here, right? The Fluent validation is not working for some reason. Integer does not contain definition of should. Then that's what Fluent validation does, right? Let me do a quick Google here. So this is Fluent validation, built-in validator. It has rules for this, rules for this. I think for some reason I am confusing the name. This is Fluent validation, that is right. Then it installs using install package, .mvc.fluent validation. This is not what I'm used to typing. I am used to typing something different. It is Fluent validation. I got the name wrong. I wanted to select Fluent assertions. My bad. Then it had 25 million downloads. All right. So with this, I am going to come to this code and I am going to type Fluent assertions. All right. So the Fluent assertion is going to give me an implementation for should, and then let me just get rid of the rest of the code. Alright, I'm going to type should, and then the expected number of students. The control S and see what it's complaining about. It's defined in an assembly that is not referenced. I believe I'll require reference to an XML file, add reference to XML.linQ, and then add reference to the XML itself. Once I have those added, the thing looks fine. I'm going to give this thing a quick spin. Once I've built this application, everything succeeded. I'm going to come here and I'm going to debug the test or run the test. I am pretty sure that the test is going to fail. It will get 0 records. It's going to run through to the end, but then it is going to get 0 records. For some reason, it is not showing anything. I think the test case isn't executed yet. Let me just go and instead of guessing, let me just open the window for the test explorer. Alright, so the test case is still in execution and then it has failed. It's saying that the above action has failed for a very specific reason. That it expected it to be 5, but then it found 0. Alright, the reason for that is when we are creating the home controller object, we are also instantiating the school context. Now when we run this application through the browser, when we click on this button, the web.config file inside the Contoso University web project takes an effect. That web.config file has very specific connection string, a very specific parameter defined called the connection string, and the connection string is pointing to the ./express data source. And then when we are running the test case, we do not have that setting defined, not in the app.config for the test case. So the fix for that particular thing is that we go inside the app.config, and then inside configuration, we come and paste the connection string for this particular database. With this, now if I come here and if I run this test case, alright, let me just run it. Alright, I'm pretty sure the test case is going to pass this time. Alright, so the test case has passed, right? But then here's the problem. This particular application, the actual number of students is 5. I don't know why that's still coming in. So move the definition, remove redundant assignment. No, I cannot do that. Alright, so I am just going to ignore this particular warning here. But yeah, the problem is that this home controller is using the SQL, the school context, which is the entity framework DbContext, and then our test case is also referring to the same DbContext. What it means is that the database, the underlying database that we are using for executing or running the home controller is the same in both the cases when we are running it from the browser and when we are running it from the test case itself. The test case, the definition of test case is that it should be executing in its own isolated environment. What that means is that the school context that we have should be injected inside the home controller. But then here's the thing. As I've already told you that this particular statement here is a violation of the inversion of control principle. This is also a violation of the single responsibility principle. The home controller knows too much about a lot of things. It knows too much about how to communicate between the model and the view. It also knows how to create DbContext objects, how to extract the data from the persistent layer and then pass it on to the different views. What we should really be targeting is that the home controller should not know where this data is coming from. But then for that, there are multiple design patterns that we have to understand. So let's quickly jump back to our code here. Our test case is going to require a lot of refactoring once we start making those code changes. So we are going to keep our test cases alive. But then for now, let's consider three design patterns that we have. The first is called the data mapper. Now, a data mapper is a layer of mappers that moves data. It moves data between objects and database. So the objects that are getting returned from the database should be mapped to a new object using a mapper class, right? The advantage of doing it that way, it is going to keep them independent of each other, and then your application is going to become a lot more flexible. So data mapper is an extremely important design pattern that we will have to apply into this solution. The second design pattern is called the repository pattern. The repository pattern, it's a mediator. It's going to sit between two different components. Those components are the domain and the data mapping layer. The repository pattern is an in-memory representation of the database. So all the data, the entire data that you have on your screen is coming from the database, but then we do not display the data directly from the database onto the screen. We hold it somewhere at a temporary location inside a repository for making that data available to the views, to the UI. And that's where repository pattern comes in handy. The next design pattern that we will require is a unit of work. Here's the definition. The unit of work maintains a list of objects that are affected by business transactions, all right? And then it coordinates the writing out of changes and the resolution of concurrency problems. So our application is not doing any of this at the moment. It is simply requesting that data directly from the database. So we are going to have to introduce a lot of these design patterns inside our application. We are going to use the DbContext from Entity Framework. And the Entity Framework, DbContext, it gives us multiple things to deal with. One of those things that is like extremely important according to me is that it tracks changes that are made in those objects. So we are going to have to use all these four patterns. We are going to have to use all these four patterns: the data mapper, the repository pattern, the unit of work, and the DbContext. Using these four patterns inside our application is going to make our application a little more flexible than what it is right now. Right. So with that, I'm going to take a little pause here and then see you guys on the other end. Alright guys, I'm back online. Did you notice that I have a little OneNote job to the right of the screen? I'm going to write all of the activities that we are going to perform on our application. So we are going to have to add a unit of work design pattern. We require a repository that is going to be used to connect to the Entity Framework database. We are going to require a mapper. I'm mostly going to use the auto mapper class here. To wire all of these things up, I will require the DI framework. My favorite is Unity. I'm going to add a reference for the Unity framework itself, and we are going to take it from there. One of the things that we discussed at length is, excuse me, one of the things that we discussed is that we are going to have to move all of the context inside the custom class. So let's start from there. Alright, so I'm at line number 40 of the remote controller. I am already a big fan of the size keyboard inside the application. So I'm going to run a little setup here. I'm going to search the private with a space inside our entire solution, and I'm going to click into nothing. What is going to happen as an effect of that is that all of the redundant size keyboards are going to go away. That's not much, but then the code becomes very obvious that we don't have anything that must be private keys. Also, I'm going to change how the DbContext gets used. Inside this, and I'm going to call it a DbContext, and I'm going to rename it to I'm going to rename it to underscore DB. Underscore DB is my way of saying that it is a private variable. The encapsulate field, a few things going to break because of how I have used this thing. This is for action of this particular. The structure is also going to get affected. This course is coming as a part of the full context because I'm not doing that right now. I think it would be okay for me to delete these. I don't know the repercussions of deleting that particular thing. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Why I did that, I realized that the full context is not something that the home controller should be dealing with. Home controller should really be dealing with a unit of work. The unit of work does not belong here, not here with the controllers. It is a concern of the data access layer, which we do not have at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a new project, which is going to be a library. Because the world is moving away from .NET Framework or probably Microsoft is moving more .NET Core, we should really be striving to create .NET standard libraries rather than .NET framework libraries. So I'm going to select .NET library project here, I'm going to hit commit, I'm going to paste what I have copied and I'm going to call it the data access layer. Everything that has like the drag folder for our current project, I'm going to move it inside this particular class library or the standard library that I have provisioned right now. Not never a big fan of the class one.ts. I don't know how it when they first started adding class one.ts. Alright, so I've moved that. I don't require that there anymore. So I'm going to delete the entire folder. And yeah, so it is creating a bunch of full context that does not have full context anymore. Because everything is focused inside this project. I'm going to come here and I'm going to build it. So for the possibility that does not exist, it's saying that that does not exist here, the full context does not exist here, which is fine. There's a way I can resolve this by telling it to add a reference to the data access layer project. So with that added, a few things are going to get sorted. Okay. So the full context and reference to and then it is still adding. I know one reason when that happens, when you are at the long portion of .NET Framework, for a like regular work, you have to do anything above 462. So I'm going to update you to the latest version and result of this, and I'm going to try to build it. And it is saying that the data does not exist, the entity does not exist, the alpha does not that session, and then it is saying the DB configuration is not present. This happens when we do not have the entity framework systems installed. So let's go ahead and browse and install the entity framework. Let's see what version we are running on when we build this side. This one, I'm going to hit S4, pop up in the discovery window and the 6.0.0, and I'm going to come here and select 6.2.0. I don't want to run into any compatibility issues, so I'm going to select 6.0.0. My suggestion is that you already run at the data in the previous, that is approved by your company, your technical architect, and let's see the effect of having this installed. So as a result of this, I'm going to see if the DbContext is resolved. I'm going to try to build the entire solution one more time, and then the story will fail. The models are not present. This complaint that the models are not present. It is not present because the model has been defined inside the Control University. This is what I was trying to highlight in the beginning, that models and then these view model layers, they should be a little more disconnected. How are we going to look at that? We are going to add another project, and we are going to call, we are going to select the template of the standard library. Once I have that, I selected C# as the language, gone ahead, paste dot model number, hit create, going to again get rid of the class1.ts file. With this done, I am going to move everything that was inside the model class into the model project. So with this move, I'm going to get rid of the model folder. This is gone, and I'm over here. Now the full context, the data access there requires the reference to the model project. I'm going to select project, I'm going to select model here, I'm going to click OK now. With this added, I think I should have some luck in getting the application to the building. Alright, so the entity data not exist in the system.data, which is it is saying that I have to add a reference to system.data or underscore map. So the DbContext, I have to add a reference to the entity framework, which is already added, and that is not. So I'm going to go to the Refactoring manager one more time, and then see how far the DbContext framework. For some reason it did not install. I want to specifically install the 0.0 inside my so the store is completed. Let's see what we have inside NuGet. We have the DB framework, the store context, DbContext has not resolved with the courses. So I added reference for the project as well. And then it looks like that DbContext. So with this project added courses, enrollment data, everything has been defined. Now if I try to build the data access there, I think I should have some luck. Come on. Alright, it looks like the restore command is getting rid of the DB framework on the project reference from here, from the data access there. I have no clue why that is happening, but I am going to resolve that. Let me go ahead and install the latest entity framework NuGet package. Install. Let's focus on the warning. Was restored using the framework focuses one instead of the project .472. This package may not be fully compatible with your project. I think something is happening at this level, which is causing the application to fail. The model does not exist. I'm going to attempt to add a reference to the model project one more time. And then with this added, a lot of stuff is getting resolved. Checked. This is the first time I selected I accept. The restore seems to be completed. The NuGet package is showing .NET edited in Web 6.2. I'm going to add reference to the model project one more time. It looks like that all. Let's see what we have inside the modules project. This .NET Standard 2.0. This one is .NET Standard 2.0 as well. Why do those references are getting deleted? .NET Standard is compatible with .NET 4.7.2. I am not using. Alright, so let's go ahead and add the reference to models. I don't require modules inside this, but I just want to build to say. Alright guys, I think I will have to call it a day right now. Next time we connect, I'm going to continue on from this point, and I'm going to show you what is causing the failure inside this particular application. Sadly, our demo did not work today, but these are real challenges that happen when you start refactoring an application, and then we will have to look for solutions for this. Alright, so thank you so much, and we are going to call it a day. Goodbye.